Good morning, fourth grade. Today is Tuesday, October 13th. We are going to continue our second part of our investigation of erosion on stream tables today. Yesterday we looked at how the slope, meaning how high the water is falling, can affect the erosion. And we saw that with slope, it makes the water travel much farther and carries out more earth material, forming deeper canyons. And that is just one example of how different landforms are created. Today we're going to look at another variable of erosion. We're going to be looking at what happens when there is a lot of water or flood. We're going to be looking at a stream table with flood conditions. I'm going to have you copy table of contents, your focus question, and our stream table observation pictures into your notebook now. Now, I give you guys about 2 to 5 minutes to add these into your notebook, so don't think the video is frozen. I just make that part a little longer so that you guys will have enough time to add it in your notebook. We are going to be adding to page 16 and to page 17. We will now begin our investigation. Before we begin, our key word is forest. Our key word is forest.
You know that water flows downhill, but do you know how flowing water might change the hill over time? Water can carry large amounts of weathered rock and soil away and forms valleys and canyons. Eventually, the earth materials are deposited farther downstream. When earth materials are deposited, alluvial fans and deltas can be formed. Two factors can affect how much earth material is moved by water. The second factor is the amount of water that is moving. Let's look at what happens when different amounts of water flow down a stream. We'll use two stream tables that are sitting flat on the table to model what happens. Here's a standard water source with a small hole for one stream table. For the other stream table, we'll use a flood source. It has a much larger hole that allows more water to flow in a shorter amount of time. Which one do you think will form a wider canyon and move the earth materials farther? Look at that. The more water that flows, the farther the earth materials move and a wider canyon is formed. Is that what you thought would happen?
On page 17, you will now record your observations. You will record what happens for the standard table. You will now draw what happens on flood conditions on the second table. Notice how in the flood condition, the water made the earth material move much farther and it created a wider, deeper canyon. The more water that falls, the more material that is carried throughout.
We observed that flood conditions increase erosion and form wider, deeper canyons. Flood conditions also deposit greater amounts of earth materials farther downstream. Now that you have an idea of how flood conditions and slope steepness affect streams, let's see if you can identify what happened in these stream tables.
Which of these tables experience flood conditions? A or B?
You chose the stream table on the right. Let's watch what happened from the beginning. Good job! You know that when deeper and wider canyons are formed and earth materials are moved farther, then a lot more water was running down the stream under flood conditions. Remember that flood conditions increase erosion and carry greater amounts of earth materials farther downstream.
Now that we are done our investigation, we can answer our focus question on page 16. How does flood affect erosion and deposition? As we saw in the investigation, floods cause deeper and wider canyons. When we compared a stream table to a flood stream table, we noticed the more water made more earth material move downstream. You may copy this on page 16.